Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 234. By the way, a correction from last week. I said it was 223.
I thought it was off.
I did say that, yeah. So I was 10 episodes off.
Yeah.
My bad. Last time was 233, obviously. 234 tonight, though. I want to pull up a comment right off the hop here. I believe we have the who was it? Grandizer said, hi, Paul, Aaron, Jason, and hopefully Devereaux on this episode. Devereaux is not a regular on the show. He does fill in quite often for when I'm off to, Boston or wherever it is for tournaments with the kids and stuff. And we are very thankful and grateful for Devereaux for doing that. But unfortunately, no. It would be fun to get him as a third. Just to have the three of us on.
We could do that, and I think you might be in the comments tonight too. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Devereaux, if you're there, hello, and feel free to chat with everybody in the chat section there. By the way, get more people in the chat section right there. It's a lot more fun when everybody's talking, chat's flowing. It's a fantastic job. Yes, and if you are liking the stream, thank you, Super Duper Jason. Go ahead, hit that like button. Do appreciate that as well. Aaron, we had 3 games to look at this week. Now the Sharks did me dirty.
Yes.
They did me very dirty. They had the 2-game win streak going into these 3 games. Mm-hmm. And I had said near the end of the show, you know what? I feel like this is a team, the way that they're playing right now, that they could go from now until the trade deadline and be 500 hockey or above. And what do they do? Again, I had a 2-game lead on that whole thing.
It was a market correction week.
Market corrected all over me, dude. Like I got wrecked. So they would go ahead and lose 3 straight. Spoiler alert for all the games we're about to go over. But
just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
Pretty much.
Hey, I still believe. Okay, this team is a good team. We're gonna see a stat and a post a little bit later on that actually shows that they are right there. I wasn't completely wrong when I said this could be a bubble team even this year, despite the fact that they're second from the bottom. I know that sounds way off, but
these games, they're still close.
Yes.
In them. It always comes down to like 1 or 2 mistakes that just does them in, and they can't dig a hole. They dig a hole, and then they can't get out of the hole. So it's frustrating to watch because I wasn't expecting much out of the season, but I feel like they got my hopes up a little bit. Because they started putting together some streaks and some win streaks and some great wins and comeback wins and all this stuff. Now it's like, oh man, at least it's not like last year. They're not getting blown out.
Absolutely.
I feel like they belong in most of these games.
They do. They do belong in the majority of these games. Again, there's a stat. We saw a stat similar to the one we're going to bring up, but that other stat was how the Sharks are leading in the third period and then lose that lead and then lose the game. More so than anybody else in the league. And I feel like this is one of those things where if they were just able to close, not if they could outplay their opponent in the third, if they could just close, that's it. They already had the lead, right?
Yeah.
If they could just do that, this would be a team that is right there in that playoff bubble conversation. But unfortunately, they just can't pull it together.
No.
It's unfortunate. Now, we do have the first game here against the Vegas Golden Knights. This one here, a 4-2 loss. The Sharks did convert twice on the power play, however. Bodes well for the power play, right? It's nice when you get that thing clicking and working, right?
Yep.
But gosh, you would love to see a little bit more 5-on-5 in terms of their ability to be dangerous and their ability to actually put the puck in the net.
Yes.
It's a Vegas Golden Knights team that is just a better team, but still.
I'm glad to see the power play going. I feel like they were moving their feet and getting more. The puck was moving more than usual. Usually they kind of sit on the boards and look for the perfect pass to get to a guy instead of moving their feet and moving around. So I feel like that was good. Now, I think Liljegren's goal was a beaut. I don't know if you remember the snipe. It reminded me of Brent Burns when Brent Burns would kind of find a hole from the blue line and wrist shot it in right into the corner. This thing was wired right into the corner. I was like, wow, Liljegren, I'm impressed. Like, I know you're a good player, but I didn't think you were that good of a player. No offense, but I was like, wow, that was just such a snipe. Like, it was unbelievable. So, but it made me happy because he was skating and moving, and there was a lot more action going on, more confusion for the defense to cover. So it was good to see at least some positive things coming out of this game.
Absolutely. And again, I want to go back to something that's been brought up a couple times on this show. You had said, maybe the Sharks, in terms of where they need more prospects or where they could need a little more help. would be on the defensive end, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at what we've got currently, now granted, some of these guys are probably going to end up getting traded away in the next season or even this season or so. But you've got a guy like Liljegren. You've got a guy in Wallman. You've got guys coming up like Dickinson, right? So, and Mook McDoulan as well, who sat most recently, but up until then, he was pretty solid. And again, for me, Mook McDoulan, if he's even playing in the NHL, I'm happy. That was just an extra piece in that trade that worked out real well for us. Do you still think that the Sharks are weak on defense? I know there are players that could be playing better, but I don't know. I feel like they're still looking okay on defense. Or do you think that's their weakest spot still?
I still think it's their weakest spot. I think their forwards are more solidified than their defense right now. We do have those young guys like Mook McDoulan coming up. He's not there. Look at the progress, though, of Henry Thrun. From last season to this season. Last season, he was kind of in and out of the lineup a lot, making a lot of mistakes that you see at the lower levels like AHL that you can get away with. Mm-hmm. I feel like he really... I think in the beginning he wasn't in the lineup and was playing in the AHL, and then they brought him up, and he hasn't gone down since.
Yeah.
That kind of progression, I'm expecting probably the similar with Mook McDoulan, where he's kind of getting that cups of coffee right now, and then by this summer he knows what he needs to work on, what he needs to do, exactly what Henrik Thrun did. Come back next season, now you're more of a regular, more of a reliable defensive person in the back end. That's where I think they're at with Mook McDoulan. But Thrun's progress, to me, I almost want to say he's better asset on the back than Ferraro is right now. Okay. I love Ferraro. He's a very good defensive-minded defenseman, but he's prone to also making mistakes. And I think Henry Thrun has more potential. He moves the puck a little bit better than Ferraro does. And I'm not trying to bag on Ferraro. I don't want anyone getting mad at me or anything in the comments. He is a good player, but Ferraro is a good third defenseman on a very good team, right? And right now, lately, he's been playing a lot of top-line minutes. Maybe not so much in the last couple of weeks, but like the last couple of seasons he has been. So kind of unfair to knock him for that. But I think the defensemen definitely need an upgrade. I think they need a bona fide stud number one guy. If the Sharks are going to be going to the playoffs, and I'm not talking this season, I mean going forward, right? In the next couple of seasons, that's the one key piece that they're missing right now is a puck-moving, legit top defenseman. That's what they need. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that in the free agency, if they're going to have to trade for it, if one of Dickinson comes up and does it. I don't know if Dickinson will quite be that caliber of a player. He'll be good, but I don't think he's going to be like another Cale Makar. Now, every team wants a Cale Makar, right? Yeah. But my point is someone in that kind of realm, but not someone who's going to be better than Makar. Right. That's going to be impossible to find. Yeah. But somebody who's up there in the top 10 defensemen in the league, someone who's going to be the all-star going to the all-star game, that's the kind of player that they need.
Do you feel that Wallman maybe isn't that guy right now, but could be? We've seen the stats with and without Wallman, and it's a stark difference. And he is absolutely offensively minded, puck moving. I think he plays the game really well, and he does a great job for the Sharks, and I think there might be a longer-term deal that the two of them are going to make with each other here. But do you think Wallman can be that guy that you're talking about?
I don't think so. Once this team is going and they're in the playoff team, I think Wallman's going to be power play 2 guy, which will be very good for a power play 2. Second pairing defenseman that can move the puck and be dependable on the defensive side. Wallman's kind of the similar thing what I just said about Ferraro. He's kind of thrust into this top line role on another team. I don't think he would be quite there, but he's doing well with it. I'm not saying he's bad either. Yeah. I just think for a team that's going to be winning cups, Wallman's not the answer. He's going to be part of the answer, but he's not the answer. So I think second pairing minutes for Wallman, being that second power play, running that second power play would be amazing for him.
Okay. I see you've got a comment that's highlighted here. I don't know if you want to say this.
Yeah.
Fire away.
This is from Ben and Gunsry. Patience, everyone. No one is talking about this, but I think Mike Greer's plan is not just building a cup-winning team. I think he's building a dynasty. And I think that is a beautiful quote right there. That is exactly what I think he is doing. Because if you look at Mike Greer has a plan. He has not just a plan for like the current guys in the NHL. They seem to have a plan for everyone going through the entire organization depth chart. They have a plan, like we talked about this last week. Bstead, right?
Yes.
Bstead right now probably could be the number one center in the Barracuda, but he won't be the number one center when he comes to the Sharks. That's going to be Celebrini or Smith at some point. Those two are interchangeable. Beasthead is set to be the third line center. Maybe he can do second line minutes, whatever. But the whole point is they want him focused on the defensive end. So they went out and got Podlarski.
Yes, that
Podlarski.
guy. All-star.
AHL All-Star,
yeah.
right? He's putting the Barracuda offensively on his shoulders so Beasthead doesn't have to, so that Beasthead can focus on the defensive responsibilities and shutting down the other team. My whole point is Greer has a plan for all of these guys throughout the organization.
Yes.
He also has been, I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the trades, he tries to get guys from certain draft years. So that each kind of draft year, 2017, he wasn't even around for these draft years, but you have certain classes of players from different draft years. So 2017, 2018, 2019. Hey, the Sharks organization 2017 draft picks look a little weak. Let's go and get some of those guys in that age group to get into the organization so that you have a steady flow of prospects coming through. Because once this team is a playoff team and a playoff normal team that's going every year and they're expected, and then they're going to cup expectations, right? Like higher expectations. You just have a steady flow of prospects each year so that you can keep that machine going. So yes, I absolutely agree with you, Ben. That is a perfect quote.
Interesting take on that with getting guys from certain draft years. I kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Okay, there was some quotes here that we didn't have video for because usually there's not video anyway.
Lately, they've not been doing any video of the scrums, which is very frustrating on our end because we like to put these clips in the show for you guys. So,
but we'll just say this one, and maybe we'll have a clip to share. But assistant coach Jeff Ulmer had said that in this game specifically that they needed to be better on the walls.
Beat off walls.
There it is.
They're getting beat off the walls.
Yeah. Beat off walls.
It's just another quote that
he just wanted to put that in there.
David, I just wanted it so bad.
Here's a softball for Jason.
Beat off walls.
Do it, super producer Jason. Hit the button. Anyway, he said they need to be better on the walls, and I completely agree. A lot of this, I'm going to hear some of this kind of going in other quotes, whatever that we have about them just being a little too soft, right? And this is one of those things he's talking about. He's talking about, on the walls, we're just getting beat. We need to be able to beat guys. When the puck's on the wall and we're trying to get possession of it, we cannot have you just constantly losing the puck there. We need possession. So they were getting beat there. And then again, the aggressiveness.
Beat off walls.
He wants more aggressiveness, right? He said, ham it up at the blue line. Is that what he said?
I don't know.
Okay,
ham it up the blue line.
I think it's jam it, maybe. But anyway, so it's like ham it up at the blue line. Are you? What? That was probably a typo. That's
jam it up.
Jam it up at the blue line.
That makes more sense.
Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely freaking embarrassing. We'll get that.
The
there you go. Okay.
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
Ham it up at the blue line. You got to tell jokes. I think that's what he meant, right? Throw him off the game.
Yeah.
Anyway. Collin Graf in this game, I thought that he had an aggressive demeanor to him in this game. He was aggressively pursuing pucks. He was all over the place. He was trusted in all situations, playing 5-on-5, power play. He was playing PK. He's doing everything out there. And I absolutely love what he's been bringing to this Sharks organization so far. Obviously doing extremely well at the AHL level. I think he was second on the team in points behind Podlarski, if I'm saying his name correctly. And then comes up to the Sharks, gets a handful of assists, gets a goal. He's doing really well. He's out there running around, just throwing his body around. He's being aggressive. He's not giving the time and space to the other guys. There's not much I can see from Collin's game that I'm saying I really wish there was more. I want more from this guy. For what he is, and especially remember, the Sharks just signed him, right? He didn't get drafted,
right?
And all these other teams wanted him, and he goes, Sharks is probably the best path for me to get to the NHL. He's putting his time in at the AHL, and it paid off for him. He's getting the call up, and he's out there working his tail off to stay. And I said this last time, he's probably going to get dropped back down, and it's not going to be right because the guy deserves it. He's been putting the work in. He's been absolutely crushing it. He played, I can't remember the line he was on in one of these games, but He was crashing the net. He was looking real dangerous.
It was the all NCAA line for a couple games.
He was doing that for a bit, but beyond that, though, when he's playing with true NHLers, like veterans, and he was keeping up with these guys, not just keeping up, he was helping to drive the line, and it looked real good. I'm very, very excited to see where Collin Graf's game goes, not just this season, but in seasons to come. I think he's going to be a very big piece, and maybe a little underrated. Just because people didn't know who he was at first, right? And I'm taking notice now of who this guy is. I'm very impressed.
Those are the kinds of players that you build not a championship around, but they are a major piece of a championship team, because this guy, for one, he was undrafted, right? That's a big deal, because if you look at his body of work, he was kind of, I guess, a late bloomer. He played all 4 years in college in the NCAA, but was always a Hobie Baker finalist, I think, in almost every season. Yeah. Which is kind of weird that this kid went undrafted, for one. But two, he figured it out. He figured out how he's going to work in the NHL. This is a part of the problem, and we'll probably talk about this about Will Smith later. There's a good quote about it from Shang about the same thing, about up until this point in your life, you've been the leading scorer on your team. I mean, even Collin Graf was one of the leading scorers in the AHL level, right? Yeah. Like, he just constantly was one of the leading scorers. Leading scorer in college, leading scorer in the AHL. Now he goes to the NHL, completely different story. Now you got to figure out, you're not going to be in the top 6. You're not going to get top power play minutes. You're not doing everything that you've been doing your entire life. Yeah. Now you need to figure it out. That's what he was spending his time in the AHL doing, is figuring out his game off the puck issues and what you're doing. Play a smart player, be conservative. Cover your guys, do everything else, make the smart plays, make the high percentage plays, and that's what he's been doing. And it's great to see him get rewarded with minutes from the coach because he's being trusted. It's a huge deal. I mean, think about I haven't looked, almost everyone in the lineup, probably from the Sharks, have been drafted, which means they were scouted when they were kids. Everyone was projecting what they're going to be. This Collin Graf kid was not, and he's there. He's working his tail off. Kind of like Barclay Goodrow worked his tail off back, on this first stint with the Sharks, where he got dropped all the way to the EasyEdit, I believe, then worked his way back up. That's kind of like Collin Graf didn't go that far down, but he figured it out and figured out what his game needed to be and changed in order to be an NHL player.
And to be honest, I'm not sure exactly how much his game has changed. I think if he's out there running around doing those things in the AHL and he's just getting rewarded because doing that against that level of competition bears more reward, right? I think in the NHL, he's probably doing more or less the same stuff he was doing in the AHL, but he's just taking it to another level in terms of, I'm going to be more physical. I'm going to be intentional about being physical out there. I'm going to run this guy into the wall. And we're going to generate opportunities. Now, the goalies are much better. The defense I have to try to get through is much better. The back checker's a lot faster, right? So I'm not going to get as many opportunities. But I'm feeling like this guy, this is just how he plays, right? And I think he's honed that craft in the AHL. In fact, I think we have a quote maybe a little bit later on that says something similar. However, you did bring up he's trusted with minutes. And Aaron, in this game, I asked you specifically, can you please figure out how much time on ice he had? I just didn't have time to check it out. And when we looked at it, it was the 5th most amongst forwards, right? At, what was it, 16 minutes?
16:50, almost 17 minutes. 16:44.
Almost 17 minutes. If you can, who had the most ice time that game, and who was it?
For forwards?
Yes, for forwards.
Zetterlund at 20:46.
Okay, so 20 minutes, 46 seconds, and he had 17 minutes, we'll say.
He had,
just about 17 minutes.
He was behind Celebrini.
Just behind Celebrini.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, for a guy that got called up from the AHL who went undrafted, that's impressive.
More minutes than Wenberg. I feel like we see Wenberg on the ice a lot. That's how much we saw Collin Graf on the ice.
And more than Wenberg. And like you said, he's earned it. I mean, again, the way that he's playing the game. Forget points, okay? Forget points right now. Assist, goal, whatever. Who cares? What I'm mostly interested in this season, same as last season, is the development. And when I see him bombing around the ice like that, generating opportunities, I could care less if the puck goes in. Because that's what you're seeing is going to happen in the future. When he gets another year under his belt, right, he's going to be able to finish those. When he's playing with guys that are free agents wanting to come to San Jose, big goal scorers, guys who can make plays, right?
So what I said,
those are the guys that are going to help get the puck in the net.
Yeah, what I said about Graf about not being built around championship, a big piece. Ben, another Great quote from Ben.
Way to go, Ben.
For a cup-winning team, I can see Graf as a solid third liner who works his tail off and scoring important goals here and there in the playoffs just because he has a scoring touch still. That's the difference maker. When you get to playoffs, your third lines are usually going to be the difference makers, not your first and second. They're going to get their time and they're going to get their chances, but most teams, their weakness is going to be the depth.
Yeah.
The third and fourth lines aren't going to be as good, and if you have depth and you have a good third and a good fourth line, you will most likely win more than lose games in the playoffs.
You need 2 good lines to make playoffs. You need at least 3 to do well in playoffs. So, yes, I 100% agree. And it brings me back to when we played against Pittsburgh, that HBK line, that Pittsburgh's third line.
Yes.
That one hurt because there was a mismatch, right? So, anyway. Okay, what else did we want to say here? He credited his time in the AHL. Again, we were going to come back to this. So, now we have the clip.
Yes.
Okay, fire away.
So we have a clip here. It's audio only of Collin Graf being asked after this game. I think it was this game. Yeah. About kind of like his how did he, because he played 7 games last season for the Sharks at the end of the last season. The question was kind of how was that time compared to now? Like what's the difference that you kind of had to work with, right? So here's his quote from the game.
Yeah, I think just over the summer, just training, trying to prepare for the NHL, and then starting in the AHL. Like, it's a really good league. Like, it's better than college for sure. So I think that those 2 things have just helped me be more comfortable out there than in the spring.
You want to?
You
good?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, for me, again, this is somebody who, again, when you talk about he's going undrafted, right? It's a guy who's a little bit more raw, who didn't have his opportunities prior to. He had to work his way to get to where he was at in the AHL, right? And it's one of those things that was a nice stepping stone from college going to the AHL, saying that it's a much better league for sure. Right, and then even then from there, the NHL is just even another step beyond that. So I think it's fantastic that he specifically said, being able to play in the AHL has really helped prepare me for this because the AHL is a much better league than playing in college, and of course it's going to be because college is all college kids, right?
I thought it was interesting that he did specifically call out the AHL being a very good league. It makes me wonder because it's not just him. I hear other people saying it, and it's like, do a lot of people dunk on the AHL for some reason? I don't get it.
Again, for me, the AHL is a place where NHLers who are less consistent play. These are guys that have pretty much the same amount of skill.
Or they're working on something to get there, right? Like
but
the guys that are skilled players throughout their life that are no longer going to be a skilled player, Daniel Gushin and some other guys that are currently at the AHL level, they got to figure out they got to add more tools in their toolkit, right? They need to figure out more to add to their game. That's the place where you're going to do it because you're playing against good competition and you're playing against men. You're not playing against 18 to 22-year-olds. You're playing 18. Well, yeah, I guess some 18-year-olds through 36-year-olds.
Macklin Celebrini, you're playing against him,
Well, in the AHL.
Yeah.
So it's a good league and really good way. And you also get the guys that are coming over from the European ice that need to get used to the North American ice.
Smaller rinks. And it's important for them to do that because it's the width. That's the big difference, right? You're so used to playing on European ice. You're so used to having so much more space east to west. And when you don't have that, when the rink shrinks this way, you're much more susceptible to getting blown up because they don't have to move as much laterally to get a hit on you. So you don't have as much time and space to get around defenders. And you end up getting blasted. So anyway, again, I wanted to play that one because I thought it was important that calling out specifically that college is a step, yes, but there's a leap in terms of the skill level at the AHL and then another leap to the NHL. And of course, we've heard lots of guys saying with each successive leap, it's mostly about speed more than anything else. Yes. It's like trying to get used to the game speed of that, right? So awesome for Collin Graf to get that experience at the AHL level and then doing something about it, playing in the NHL, making the most of his opportunity given to him, and getting the ice time rewarded to him for doing that. You want to read this one off here?
It sounds like a guy who really appreciates and embraces pains and struggles he has to go through to get here. He's definitely a keeper. Agreed.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm loving Collin Graf right now, and I can't wait to see more of him. So there you go. Georgiev, 30 saves in the first 2 periods. I thought he played really well in this game, actually.
Yeah.
There was a couple. So there was a breakaway from Stone. That was, I mean, it's Stone. What are you gonna? Yeah. So that's rough, right? That's rough. Then there was the power play goal. Was a cross crease one time. I know.
I hate him so much. God.
Then there was the cross crease one timer on the power play, no less. Hard to fault him for that one, but okay, fine. And then the last one was a little bit of a soft one. Honestly, I can't even remember it. Whatever, who cares? But I just remember that it was a little bit on the soft side, and so those were the 3. And then there was an empty netter. That's how the game ended 4-2. But he didn't let in 4, so it's not Forgiev. So
Baby steps.
3 Orgiev, maybe? I don't know.
3 Giev. 3 Orgiev sounds a little...
Georgiev. 3 Orgiev.
3 Giev.
Oh, okay. Anyway. Yeah, so...
Beat off walls.
Oh, what have I started? Fantastic. Okay, Warsawski says they were soft to play against and not physical enough.
Yeah.
There's certain players I think play a little bit softer, but Collin Graf certainly not one of them. So he must have been talking about somebody other than Collin, or a group of players other than Collin Graf, because I thought Collin Graf had a fantastic game and he was running around, and we'll see that in the upcoming games as well. The next one, obviously, Utah. In Utah. Now, you were supposed to go to this one.
Yeah, there was a chance I was going to make it, but
Okay.
just with my scheduling and everything, with work and the kids and everything, it just didn't happen. But I wanted to go to this game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I was talking to my friend who lives out there, and I was going to go visit them, and they were at this game, and I asked how the arena was, because it's, I don't know if you know this, but it's
Yeah.
basketball arena.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sight lines that are blocked.
Yeah.
And my friend told me that any seat in that arena has a blocked view of something on the ice. Like, you cannot see the full ice anywhere in the arena. So they are supposed to go over some major renovations, I believe, this summer to make it more of NHL standard. I guess it's better than the Mullet Arena. Who knows? I mean, Utah's used to it. This
You can at
club
least
is
see
used to it.
everything at Mullet.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it seats more people, I guess, in this one. I don't know.
They
Anyway.
actually had a shot of this too, of the view, and you're literally missing like from the blue line down.
If you're behind the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
You can't see anything happening from the blue line down.
I remember the Barclays Center where the New Jersey Nets play. The Islanders were playing there for a couple seasons. And they had the Kia car in the corner because they couldn't fit anyone. There's no seats or anything there. So they had a car on the corner. You just see it on TV. But they had the same thing where it was like a sheer drop-off behind the goal. And if you're up there, it wasn't to the blue line. I think it was, but it covers the crease. Like, you couldn't see the goal at all. Like, so you're going to miss a lot of the action. It's very reminiscent of that, but worse than that somehow. So anyway, I did not go to this game, but maybe next season when they fix this stuff.
Well, you didn't miss much because all the action for the Sharks happened in the first minute,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
Zetterlund gets on the board. This one was a pass from the point that went down low, and then a shot that kicked out.
It was good.
I don't even know if it was a shot, to be honest with you. It looked like
was
he
a
might have
shot.
been trying to pass it to whoever was standing in front.
But it was a play, a pass off the pad kind of thing, where they shoot it and the goalie makes the save and they get the rebound.
It looked like it went off the player's stick, but I don't know. So it kicked out to Zetterlund, and credit to Zetterlund here. He really had to stretch across his body to get the blade where he needed to be, and when he shot it, he just looked completely out of sorts after he let go of this puck. Like, he fired it and then just kind of.
He kind of fought through a stick check too. Like, it was not an easy shot to get off.
Yes,
and he was able to do it.
It was one of those goals for me that looked less about the skill of them thinking about and running a play and getting it together and making it work, right? Like, sometimes we'll see on the power play, it goes from the left wing goes down to basically where the post is, and they'll kick it back to where the bumper is, and the bumper takes a one-timer, right? Those are set plays. Those are meant to happen that way, and it's a high skill type of thing where they know where each other are going to be. The timing is right. All that stuff has to come together, and it works. This one was just they fired a puck at the net, it kicked out, and Zetterlund just, like Gumby, kind of stretched his hand and just popped it in. So, hey, good for him for being there and for the accuracy of that shot with the way that he had to contort his body. Fantastic. But it was less of a we're all on the same page and working together goal as it was a thank God that went in goal, right? So, again, you hope to see as they continue to play that they're able to make more connections, even if it's not going in, fine. But you're hoping to see them be able to make a lot more connections with some better passing with each other, more intentional chances on goal.
Yeah, it's still a goal. Goal's a goal.
Yeah.
Zetterlund's getting his goals, which is great to see. Looks like he might hit 20 goals. That was his 12th goal of the season.
Nice.
I think he'll hit 20, maybe flirt with 25 again. Like I think he ended last year with 25, if I remember correctly, without looking it up. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic player on this team, and I like to see when he scores.
Yeah,
you get the tomato face in there and the celebration. Love that guy.
One guy who's probably not going to be hitting 25 goals if he stays injured here. Clean the Dream Costin, unfortunately, injured in this game. Had to leave a little early.
Yep.
Did you see what happened? I completely did not see what happened with this guy.
I didn't see it.
Unfortunate. But yeah, so he's out. The lines get jumbled up a bit, but that's not really an excuse for them not being able to play a cohesive game together. Again, Utah is a good team, but not one that the Sharks couldn't beat necessarily.
Yeah.
Again, start of the game, 1-0. This is another game when the Sharks lose after they lead, and they lose by 1. Right, and we're gonna see another stat on this, I think, later on in the show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But this is again one of those games.
The Utah Hockey Club is going back when they were the Arizona Coyotes and the Phoenix Coyotes, whatever Coyotes. To me, they're so boring. They were always like boring games. There's no life. There's no nothing to it. This game, though, at the end, there were some not quite fisticuffs, but they hated each other. It's kind of good to see because there is some passion kind of coming out. I feel like those games are always like, every time they would pass through here, it was so boring to watch them, and they would somehow come out with a win. You're just like, what is with this team? They're not that good of a team. I don't understand it. So this is turning out to be possibly a good rivalry here between the Sharks and the Utah Hockey Club, the most bland hockey club there is. I don't even know where I'm going with this. They're just boring. Another reason I kind of didn't want to go to this game because
Could beat off walls.
boring. But yet again, the Sharks could not pull out a win. So they get to the end of the game, and it's 1-1. Look like the Sharks are doing pretty well, and then they end up scoring a goal in the last, was it a minute and a half or something like that? You want to add anything?
I don't know.
To this?
I can't even think right now. Basically, this one for me, it's hard again. It's hard to blame Georgiev here, at least, right?
Oh,
they only get 1 goal for, man. You know. So and again, we said he was Forgiev, right? I'm saying 3 Orgiev from the last game. This game only 2. I'm not gonna make up another name, but they're going down, right? Is Spears' magic working on this guy right now?
I think it is.
Okay.
I was surprised that they went back to back with Georgiev. I thought for sure, and I talked about this at the end of the last episode when we were talking about the upcoming games. I thought they would go Askarov against Vegas, Georgiev against Utah, and then go back to Askarov for the back-to-back against who was the other team? I can't remember. Minnesota. It's not what they did. I was kind of shocked. However, Warsawski has a good pulse, I think, on his players and the goalies. Against Vegas, he had a .927 save percentage. And against Utah, .923 save percentage.
Yeah.
So he let in 3, and then he let in 2. I think that is definite progress for Georgiev. Back-to-back quality starts right there of a .927, 923 or better, right? That's a good quality start right there. He's giving you the best chance to win. I'm not saying Askarov would have done worse. Probably, maybe could have done better, but you're not getting garbage out of Georgiev. So good on Spear and his crew, and they've been working pretty hard on him. So it was good to see Warsawski having the trust in him and him giving the Sharks a good chance to win these games. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, I go back to, it's hard to blame him when you only put 1 goal in the net. And I mean, he only let in 2, right? Mm-hmm. But there was no real sustained pressure. They didn't really have possession that much in this game. So again, it's hard to say it's all on this guy and the whole nickname Forgive thing that the fans have given him, which isn't entirely fair. But we just, again, same sort of problems where we're turning the puck over and maybe just a little too soft to play against, and just not, again, that sustained pressure. And that's one of those things that hoping to see the Sharks do much better at as the season goes on. Mm-hmm. We talk about young players needing to learn how to play the game in the NHL a certain way. Now, again, when I talk about physicality and aggression, I'm not talking about Douglas Murray. I'm not talking about big hits. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. Right. Dropping the gloves and fighting everybody. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to have a willingness to jump in on a player, get in tight, make their day difficult, right? If you're standing back and swinging your stick, or you're not really aggressively pursuing them, they have time and space. And in the NHL, time and space is everything. Oh, it's everything. Yeah. It's everything. Really, it is. So when you've got that, when you have that amount of time and space, you can make whatever plays you want. Doesn't matter who you're playing against, right? And the Sharks, especially when you're a team that's younger, a team that's not highly skilled. They got a couple high skilled players, but a team that up and down the lineup isn't exactly the most skilled team. You can't afford not to go after them. And it's a little bit surprising to hear that the Sharks are considered a little soft maybe by their head coach, because again, Greer's guys, we talk about this all the time. Greer has grabbed a whole bunch of these blue collar type players where they go out and they're willing to skate hard and they're willing to be physical. So to hear that they're a little soft, maybe a little surprising. I don't know if he's talking about the group as a whole, or maybe there's just a couple guys here or there that he'd like to see do better. But again, for him to quote it and to say that's what's wrong with us right now, again, a little surprising for me.
I mean, to me, look at what Celebrini does, right?
Exactly.
Off the puck, I mean.
Exactly.
When he chases guys down and uses his body positioning and wins the pucks, that's what we're talking about, that kind of stuff. Because Celebrini's, he's 6 feet, right? With
he's 6 feet.
On.
You watch your mouth.
He's six feet. Anyway, he's a little guy, and he wins battles against much bigger guys. Eklund, too, I feel like is another one that is a good guy that is smaller and somehow always comes away with the puck. And Kovalenko, I can't say enough good things about this guy. Same thing. Kovalenko goes into a corner with a guy. He's more likely going to come out with that puck. He has his issues, too, because he's a younger guy figuring out the NHL. But those three guys, to me, are probably the best at puck battles against the boards. And they're not even the biggest dudes on the team. No. Not even close.
But again, it's not about your size.
Exactly, that's my point.
It's about your willingness to be aggressive. You don't have to blast someone into the boards.
No, but you use your body and positioning correctly, and you're going to win those pucks.
100%. 100%. By the way, you talked about Eklund, and I had said this on X. Curtis Pashelka, I know. I'm trying, okay? Curtis Pashelka had responded to me on this, actually. I said, mark my words, if the Sharks don't get a top 4 pick, they're grabbing Victor Eklund, the brother of William Eklund, right? And Pashelka goes, isn't that a bit of a reach? I said what I said, Curtis, okay? Victor Eklund was a little bit farther down on the list, maybe like top 10, top 15, somewhere in there. After the it was World Juniors, I think. After World Juniors, I think this guy it's a YouTube Gravite or something like that. I can't remember. He's high on prospects. Actually, Graham might have heard of this guy before. I'm not sure. But I happened to just pop on. I was like flipping through YouTube and I caught this one thing about prospects. And I'm like,
flipping through YouTube like on a remote?
Oh yeah, on my TV. Yeah,
boomer.
Anyway,
to beat off walls.
Why? I don't know, but I like it. Anyway, so I'm flipping through and I see this Gravitech guy talking about prospects. Victor Eklund, after World Juniors, was actually ranked 5th on his list against some YouTuber, but ranked 5th on his list. Anton Frondel, who was supposed to be ahead of him, was ranked even lower.
Gravite.
Is that right?
Collin,
yeah, there you go, right there. Yeah, Collin. Thank you, Collin.
Yeah.
Again, not somebody I watch all the time, but sometimes I'll see something and click, right? Anyway, that guy, go ahead, check that guy out. He's pretty cool. Anyway, he had him as like the number 5, so I'm feeling pretty good. There's sometimes Paul Stradamus gets something right, and I'm telling you, if it's close, if he works his way close to there, and we can get him, why wouldn't you take him?
That's the comments of the last couple weeks of our shows have been talking about getting Eklund's brother.
Yeah,
in the draft.
I'm for it, because you know what? Again, if you get what you're getting out of William in Victor, oh my God.
I mean, I'm not saying no to this. It's more of we'll see how it plays out.
I know, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm excited.
Yeah, if they get a top 2 pick, I don't think they should reach and get him.
I'm excited in my chest.
Sure.
You know? No, you can trade that.
The Sharks are going to, there's the Hughes brothers in New Jersey. They're going to have the Eklund brothers.
Oh, man, it'd be so good. And Victor's a beast, too. That's why I bring it up. He's just the same way. He skates hard. He attacks hard. He's not the biggest guy out there, but he'll come after you. And that's the type of attitude, that's the type of aggression that's going to help you make your way to the NHL. And I would love to see 2 Eklunds on the team. They'd have to put the W on one and the V on the other, right? When's the last time you saw a first name initial on the back of the jersey? Yeah, exactly. The Sedin twins, right? Could be the Eklund
and
brothers.
The Hughes brothers.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was pretty cool. So there you go. Actually, in this game against Utah, for the first time, maybe ever, Macklin looked a little bit human here, right? Mm-hmm. He made some passes that weren't exactly on the money. He made some moves where he was trying to stick handle around a guy, and it got picked off of his stick.
Do you think he was lulled to sleep from this boring team of the Utah Hockey Club?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's their game plan to lull everyone to sleep and score when you're not looking.
He only manages 1 shot in this game, but still 50% from the face-off dot.
I mean, yeah, that's great that he could still be at 50%.
Yeah.
It's amazing what he's doing in the face-off circle.
You mean considering he was lulled to sleep that he
but
was still...
going back to Jamie Baker's when he was on the show, right? When he couldn't score, he would work on other things that he could control, like face-offs and battle. What do you call it? Board battles and puck battles and stuff. So Celebrini is definitely that kind of player. Now, 82 games is a grind.
Yes.
This kid has never played this many games clustered together. I mean, they've already played 45 now in the season, and it's been 3 months, right? So it is a lot of hockey. And before you can even breathe, once you finish a game, you're already traveling to the next game or even playing the next game the next day. So to say this is a grind is an understatement. So, yes, we are going to see some of these guys, and this is not just this season either. Like, we'll see this. You see this throughout every year of during the regular season, you're going to see guys that, not that they take nights off, they're just not, they don't have their A game for whatever reason. They could be banged up, but they're not hurt, but they're not at 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if Celebrini's not at 100% right now.
Sure.
He's probably, he's dealing with something if he's not bringing his A game, because I feel like this is one of the rare instances where a player would be doing that, but I bet something is up with him. I don't know if you've noticed, but Tyler Toffoli, I feel like, has been falling a lot in the lineup, getting knocked down to like the 3rd line and sometimes the 4th line. In fact, the other night when you asked me to look up Collin Graf's minutes, he had more than Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah.
Tyler Toffoli was at like 13 minutes in that game. So I think something's going on with him. I don't know if he's fighting through an injury or if he's just a lull in the season, right? Where it's just like, oh, it's the grind. We're only in January. Here we go. But we see it from a lot of players throughout their careers.
Yeah. No, I was just saying it's the first time.
Yes.
For an 18-year-old to play 40... No, not 40. He's played 30-some-odd games because he was out for a while there. For him to play that many games, and he's just now having a game where he looks human. He wasn't even bad. He just looked human, right?
Yeah.
Again, very impressive from the 18-year-old. So that was my point bringing that one up, is that it's taken this long for him to finally look like he's got
2 points in the last 5 games.
Yeah.
Not 8 points in his last 5 games like we've been seeing.
Right, yeah. So, anyway, now you've got a post here from Darren Stevens on Blue Sky.
Darren Stevens from Blue Sky. So, this was after the Utah game where they lost the game in the last minute and a half. Sharks have allowed 4 go-ahead goals in the final 2 minutes of regulation this season, which is the most in the NHL. Sharks lead the NHL with 20 close losses this season. A close loss is defined as lost by 1 goal or by 2 goals if you include an empty netter. They've also had 12 such losses through 44 games last season. So in comparison of last year, how close those games that they lost 12. This year's 20. Yeah. Now, we talked about this team possibly being a bubble team, playoff team. Obviously, they're not going to be a playoff team this season. I think it's too late for that. Yeah. But look at the leap from last season to this season.
Absolutely.
Huge, right? Leaps and bounds. Next season, I'm expecting another jump like that because you're going to fill the lineup with even more NHL, maybe not veterans is the right word, but a lot of the guys are going to be gone from this year. There's about 3 or 4 of them that for sure most likely will be gone. Who knows? Granlund was talking about extension talks. Who knows if that'll go anywhere. But anyway, regardless, you're going to pick up some free agents, maybe some high-end free agents. Hello, Mikkel Rantanen. And then this team's going to look a lot different. And all those players that are playing in their first season this year are now experienced and will have more growth and everything else. So this team is going to take another step. You take 20 of those games. 10 of those are wins. You take half of them. 10 of them are wins. That's 20 points in the standings. Where does that put them, Paul?
That puts them in the bubble.
Not even the bubble. They're in the top 3 of the division. Like, that's a spot. That's a legit playoff spot. The top 3 get an automatic spot. The next ones are to me, that's the bubble.
I thought they were 4th in the division, no?
No, if they got 20 extra points in the division, that would put them... Let me pull this up.
Okay.
Again, I had it up here. 20 extra points would get them 52 points.
There you go. 4th.
Oh, it was 4th. I thought it was up a little more. Dang. All right, 12 more wins.
All right, one of those losses was OT, okay? One of those losses was OT. There you go.
Let's say 12 of those 20 are wins. Anyway, my point is they're right there.
Let's just keep going up. Let's say.
But my point is they're right there.
Right.
They're going to be learning from all these mistakes that they're making,
yes.
and they're going to hopefully turn those around by next season. We're also going to have Askarov in net for a majority of this next season. Who knows who the backup will be? We don't even know because Georgiev, his contract is up, and so is Vanacek, who's still out. His contract is up, so I don't know who that backup is going to be. But my point is we'll have a better goaltender. Because I still think Askarov is the best goaltender that the Sharks have out of everybody right now, currently. I believe he's NHL ready, especially by next season. He's probably ready now.
He's ready now.
But I think by next season, for sure, he's going to be locked in and ready to go. This team is just going to be so different next season. And they're so close. Like, it's a tease right now. Because you're seeing these 20 games, 20 close games. That's unreal that they've lost.
But see, some people might see that as a bad stat. And I see that as a good stat by comparison to last season, right? We're losing more games by just a goal. Gosh, we suck. No, we're losing a lot of games by just that small, slim margin. And we're not really rebuilding anymore. We're at more towards the end.
Building now.
We're building
Yes.
on our rebuild.
They tore everything down. They
Yes.
started to rebuild it. Now they're building everything.
Yes, so they're still in the building phase here. They're close to where they're able to bring in, like you said, some free agents that are higher end that see what's happening in San Jose and would love the opportunity to play with a guy like Macklin, right? So again, I think it's very promising for the future of this franchise. I'm very excited to see where they go from here.
You also have to remember. Next season, let's say the Sharks have those wins, right? And they're now top 3 in the division. They're looking like a playoff team going into the trade deadline. They're now buyers, not sellers. Now you look at the teams that aren't making playoffs.
Yeah.
Who's that high-end defenseman on a team that's on the last year of their contract that a team wants to move for assets? Now the Sharks are in a position to do that.
Yeah.
So this team is looking to be a lot different next year, and it's exciting to see because we are seeing the progress. Now it's not linear. It's going bumps up and down, up and down. Right now it's down because they just lost 3 games this week. They probably could have won at least one, maybe 2 of those.
Did me dirty.
So they're playing good hockey. They're looking much better. It's obviously not good enough, but I feel like some of these losses are game, like the Minnesota game. We'll just go right into that next right now.
Okay, yeah.
The Minnesota game, the Sharks outshot Minnesota in every period.
Yeah.
That has not happened very often this season. It's happened a few times, but it's kind of rare. I thought they should have won this game. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury, it was his last start because he's retiring after the season.
Yes.
And this is the last game in San Jose, so this was his last start in San Jose. Darren Stevens also had a post about it, but I didn't want to
overload super producer Jason with posts.
I didn't want to up Fleury too much. I love the guy. He's a great personality. I hate playing against him because he's so good. It's frustrating to see. But it's still great.
There was a video of him signing as he was going off. He was signing stuff, and somebody had like one of those big heads of him. And instead of signing it, he just drew glasses on it. I'm like, this Perfect. That's fantastic. I hope he went back and signed the back of it or something.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the glasses drawn on his own face.
He didn't draw on his teeth?
No. He should have. Yeah, but he just drew glasses on him.
Yeah.
So what a great guy.
This guy's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He is one. He was also very rare that a goalie was picked first overall. He's one of them. So he was the top first overall pick of 2000 and when was that?
Whatever. Yeah.
5, 6. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, he's got multiple cups. This guy, he's a character. You see what him and Sidney Crosby do to each other?
Yeah.
When they play against each other?
Constantly
they do pranks.
Yeah.
He, I can't even remember what he did. It was last week, and it was in the news, and I was just like, oh, man.
He took Sidney Crosby's skates, took the laces out, and then laced it up backwards. So that, like, it's like this at the top, and then you tie it at the bottom where the toe is. Yeah, so he messed with them on that one.
He did some other stuff, too.
I think Sidney went into his room and rearranged some stuff.
Right.
Like, haha, I'm a prankster.
Yeah.
Flaherty's like, hold my beer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, again, just a great personality, and sucks when he retires that the league is going to lose a personality like that because, you know, especially at all-star games and stuff, he's messing around with guys, former teammates. So, again, just kind of sad to see that this will be the last time that he plays against the Sharks in San Jose Arena, or SAP Center, rather. But
I won't miss playing against him.
Fair enough.
Not that I'm playing against him, but I won't miss the Sharks playing against him.
So, yeah, again, this game, a 3-1 loss. It's hard to say a 3-1 loss because while one should be considered an empty netter, he wasn't actually off the ice yet, so it does count against Askarov's stats. Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah.
When he's basically past the blue line and they shoot and he's like, really? Like, that sucks. Oh, well. Anyway, they lose this game 3-1. In this game, we have the return of Wallman and Sturm.
Yes.
I thought Sturm had a really good game, and Wallman, obviously, again, you put the puck on this guy's stick and good things happen offensively. So it was really nice to see him back in the lineup, somebody that I think the forwards missed a lot because there's nice breakout passes they typically will get from him.
Yeah, I feel like it was good to have him back, and it was a noticeable difference in getting the puck out of the Sharks' zone. They seem to attack better and transition better out of defense into offense, so they didn't get pinned in their zone as much as they have been. I think he was a little bit off because he did miss, and it goes to the timing. We've talked about this before, about the speed, not necessarily the top speed, but the quickness of the game and your decision making. It takes usually, like, when you miss that much time, maybe a game or two. He'll be back to his normal self very soon, but I think they are a much better team with him in the lineup than with him out of it. But that did mean Mook Madulin was not in, right? That's who they scratched?
Yes, Mook Madulin was out on this game, because Wenberg was sick, so Mook Madulin, the other guy being out, that's why they brought the other two in.
Yep. Yeah. And then Askarov and net, I thought he had I feel like every single game he plays, there's one or two highlight reel saves where you're just like, you've got to be kidding me. How did he save this? And one of them was going across his net and stretching his leg in this full splits position and getting it on the back door there and stuffing. I forgot who it was, but stuffing them were just like, wow, that was an amazing save. Yeah. Askarov is putting a name in the league, putting his name out there in the league as a very tough goaltender to beat.
Now, I wanted to go over the starting lines actually on this one here, and you had brought up Tyler Toffoli earlier. I was talking about we were talking about Collin Graf earlier, right? Mm-hmm. And the hard work that he's putting in. And I couldn't help but notice in this game that Collin Graf gets promoted to the top line, or what's considered the top line, right? Not the Macklin line, but he's playing alongside of Granlund and Zetterlund. So he replaces Eklund. And, of course, Eklund falls to Macklin Celebrini. And who else do they put with him?
Toffoli.
Tyler Toffoli. So there you go. He's not playing fourth line or third line anymore. He's with those guys. That 70s line, I thought they looked extremely dangerous all night, and I would be surprised to see them get broken up. If they did, I imagine it would be to put the Lund line back together. And then I don't know if Collin Graf falls to Macklin and Toffoli together, or if he ends up putting people in the blender again. Who knows, right? But this was a good testament to the work that Collin Graf, I think, is putting in. And I'm very happy to see him, again, not just getting the opportunity to play on third or fourth line, go out there and bang bodies, kid, right? He's putting the hard work in and they're rewarding him with time with some of the top players on the team. And he looked dangerous out there with them. With Granlund and Zetterlund, he looked dangerous. He doesn't look out of place. Like, he's, for a guy coming from the AHL, again, who didn't get drafted, playing with these two players, he looked fantastic. He didn't look like he was being carried. He was the aggressor in most occasions. He was capitalizing on really good plays. There's one play by Granlund who came from behind the net, very, very Eklund-esque, except he didn't go behind himself, right? He just went all the way around the net. Passes it through the crease, and Graf was right there, and it was just a little too tight, handcuffed him a bit, and he just couldn't get a stick on it. But man, they're all in the right spots. They're working together really well. I mean, again, for me right now, seasons past, I've said, Mario Ferraro was one of my favorite players. And why? Because he's putting that hard work in. I don't really care if he's getting scored on whenever you see this guy, he's always motoring. Who's my other favorite guy? Nico Sturm, right? Nico Sturm is the guy, he's got that motor going all the time. He gives you 100% everything that he's got. And so far, that's what I'm seeing out of Graf. He's taking his opportunity and he's giving you 100% every single chance he gets. And he's playing on that top line, at least as of this game he was. Now again, second line, that 70s line, they looked extremely dangerous all night too. And if you look at Macklin and Eklund, right, the two of them together, they complement each other extremely well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of speed there. There's a lot of aggression there. There's a lot of the flash and the flare, right? Both of them pulling spin moves like at will. It's got to be difficult when you got two guys on the ice that play pretty much the same exact way.
It's full possession. It's hard to get the puck away from them.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's just they're both extremely high IQ and high skill. They've got it pretty much all as a package. And having them on different lines makes that dynamic throughout the play, right? But having them on the same line is got to be so frustrating to try to get a beat on where one of these two guys is at all times on the ice. So I'm really happy to see the two of them paired up together because I think their skill sets complement each other so well. They're very similar players, I think.
Yeah. They're so much fun to watch too. They can both skate really well. I think that's a big thing too. Skate and hold on to the puck very well. But yeah, it's very frustrating for other teams to play against them because they're not big guys, but they're Slippery Pete? Is that his nickname, right? William Eklund's nickname, Slippery Pete. Yeah. So hard to get the puck away, hard to separate them from the puck, the body of the puck. So it's great to see, and maybe potential line mates of the future for the foreseeable future, the next couple seasons. Maybe those guys always stick together and they rotate that third, the other winger on their line. Because a lot of teams like to do that where they pair up people on the forward lines, a center and a winger, and then that other winger kind of gets a rotation in based on probably lineups against other teams and and all that stuff. So it's really exciting to see. I like that 70s line. That's a good nickname for those guys.
I like that. That's pretty good. The fourth line here was Grundstrom, Sturm, and Delandria. Good to see Grundstrom and Delandria, I think, together on a line. I certainly love them with Sturm, and even this line looked like it was pestering pretty much all night. But I skipped over the third line, and we'll go back to that in just right now. It was Goodrow, Cunnin, and Will Smith. Will Smith was on the second line, I think, previously. He got bumped down to the third line. I did want to say about Goodrow, I kind of was hoping to see Goodrow playing fourth line minutes as opposed to third line minutes. I don't think Barclay Goodrow is a guy that's going to help Will Smith with his game. And maybe Cunnin is that guy, but I just don't know that Goodrow is going to be someone that's going to help him progress. I would like to see maybe out of those players that are there, Sturm or Delandria maybe as guys that are a better pairing for Will Smith. But I just don't see Goodrow as a guy that's really going to help him out offensively. So I don't know. I think that line didn't really do so hot. And in fact, Will Smith in this game does get benched. Now, I didn't see it because I was putting the kids to bed. Yeah. But I asked Shang Pang and Curtis Pashelka and whoever. I got corrected right away. I said, hey, I haven't seen Will Smith in a while. Was he benched sometime in the third? And apparently they had already said he was benched 15 minutes or so into the second. Yeah. So he missed the last 5 minutes of the second period and then didn't play a lick in the third period at all. I guess Warsawski was saying, I was going with the guys that were going. And he didn't think Will Smith was going. So he put him on the bench.
He also said, he was asked specifically about the benching, like what's your kind of, how do you bench some, or like what are the parameters for benching someone, and he said it all depends, and a lot of it is if you have to tell the guy, it's the same mistake, and you're telling him 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then you're going to get benched. So to me, that's kind of okay. He made, and there was a point in the time in the game where he made a turnover, right? A bad backhand pass, trying to get it out of the Sharks zone. There's 2 Sharks players right there. If he just took his time, because he had time to turn and actually make the right pass, it would have been fine. Instead, he kind of blindly backhands it to him. And what was it? Rossi, I think, is the one that intercepted it, and it came right back down the Sharks' throat, and they had to turn around and defend really well. And he didn't. That's the other thing is he didn't. Yeah, he kind of did, but he wasn't like busting his butt, like, oh man, I made a mistake, I need to fix it. It was just kind of a ho hum kind of thing. So I could see why he got benched, because you've seen this several times where his efforts and not moving his feet, that kind of thing is happening. So. Yes, the coaching staff is seeing it. Don't think that they're blind and that you're falling on deaf ears here.
Are you speaking to me specifically?
I'm speaking to you.
Okay.
They are seeing what you are saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And now I was thinking about this on the way here. Do you think he gets scratched the next game?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope he does. I hope he gets scratched. And again, I don't want you guys to think that I just hate Will Smith. I'm so tired of defending this point. I don't
want to hear about freaking fragile, okay?
I don't hate Will Smith. I have a problem with Will Smith playing in the NHL. That's all. That doesn't mean I don't like the guy. I think he would be better served by the franchise, by the organization, and for himself to follow the same path Collin Graf, Logan Couture, Timo Meier, Joe Pavelski. We're talking about some legends here who had games in the AHL, right? There is nothing wrong with a player going to the AHL to get the development that he needs. And I don't understand why we have this, I don't know if it's ego-driven or whatever it is, but why do we have this absolute need to have Will Smith playing in the NHL when even the coach is like, I have to bench him now? Did he get benched for more than a period at any point earlier in the season?
I don't think so.
He got healthy scratch for development days.
Right.
Which I called BS on before. I don't think they're development days, but whatever. Anyway, so if he didn't get benched for more than a period at any point prior in the season, but he got benched 40-something games into the season, is it really working? Is he getting better? I don't know that it is. And I just don't understand why we can't just say, hey, you know what? It's totally fine. Go to the AHL, hone your craft there, and then come on back up when you're ready. I don't know why that's such a problem. What's the stigma behind a player going to the AHL? We heard Collin Graf just less than an hour ago on a clip. I know it's been a long time. We heard him talking about he wants to go to sleep. That's all it is. Yeah. We heard him talking about how the college is great, but the AHL is another step. It's a huge step. It's much better than the college is. And that's where Collin Graf has been playing and doing really well. And then he comes to the NHL and he does really well. I don't understand why there's this stigma on it. Again, I don't hate Will Smith. I just think he's in over his head right now. That's all. And I'd love to see him get the opportunity to actually develop instead of playing against the absolute best in the world when he can't keep up. He can't keep up. He's getting beat off walls. Just seeing if
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Yes. Get on with it.
I knew it.
So I'm gonna get on with it. I'm just saying.
Get on with it.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is I feel like he could be better served by the organization, and I think they're doing him wrong. I don't think that he should be trying to develop here. I think he should develop at the AHL level, but that's me.
Got it.
So I don't hate him. I don't hate him.
We're gonna beat this dead horse some more.
I told you don't talk
beat
about
off walls.
Told you don't. Hey, don't talk about Will Smith if you don't want me to talk about Will Smith. That's all I gotta say. So
I'll say thank you, Crichton09, for figuring it out because you are now a member.
Oh,
congratulations!
Let's go.
We got a new member. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate that, buddy.
I'm gonna follow that up with a roll call question. So,
yes.
We don't even have the question. What do you want to do?
I mean, we just talked about that. So either get their opinion, and everybody can get mad at me. That's fine.
How about
that's
do you
totally
think he's going
fine.
to get scratched or not for the next
Okay,
game?
sure. Yes.
So
go ahead.
roll call question. Tell us what city you are watching us from, and do you think Will Smith is going to get scratched in the next game?
Now, I said yes, I hope he gets scratched. It's not because I don't like him. I think he needs another development day. That's what I think he needs, and he just needs a break.
The Sharks have a lot of games coming
Yes.
up in the next few days. I was looking at the schedule ahead, and I'm like, oh my gosh. That is, I want to say it was 9 games in 16 days or 17 days or something like that. So it is a lot of hockey coming, and it's also, a lot of it's on the road. So they're not just going home at on a homestand. They're traveling. Like, as soon as the game's over, they're getting on a bus or they're getting on a plane and they're traveling to the next city. So they're on a big road trip coming up. We will get into, instead, are we going to do our Calder Watch now?
Sure.
Is it time?
We could do the Calder Watch, but we just posed the question. So I would be interested
Sure.
in seeing if anybody has any response to that. If they think that he should be scratched. And again, for me, it's more about for the player's benefit as opposed to he sucks, which I've never said, by the way. Anyway, what anything in the comments so far about what they said?
Grandizer wants to know how I shave my head if I'm using one of those things. So, no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't use one of those things. Those things hurt. I actually never used one of those things.
The one with like the strap and you go like this?
Yeah, that's what they're asking now.
All right, yeah.
No, but electric razors, now we're getting into some personal stuff. It gives me razor burn. I never liked them. They never worked for
We're
me.
getting to some personal.
Yeah, so I use a blade, like a Bic, whatever.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Colin says...
Guys, get on with it.
Colin says Livermore, and yes, Colin from Livermore. Again, my son Jace plays for the Tri-Valley Bulls, and yes, they play out of Livermore, so familiar with the area. Very cool. Thank you for commenting there. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that whole thing or
About Will Smith?
yeah.
I think he should get scratched. I don't know about the next game. Like, either you scratch him and it's really like you're in the press box and you're paying attention and breaking down the stuff, or you put your confidence behind him and you put him in the lineup back into it because he's learned his lesson from getting benched the last game.
Yeah.
So you want to see a response coming out of him for that benching. So that's a positive way to doing it, and I think the Sharks are going to do the positive way of doing it.
There's quite a few comments here, and I have to say I'm feeling a little bit better about my whole position on him. And people's responses so far, like Brycar, for instance, and then Ben. I don't know if we need to bring these up, but essentially people saying yes. I also don't know why they won't bring it right there. I don't see why they won't send him to the AHL either. Again, it's not a bad thing. The AHL is a good league.
I don't think it's all performance based. Like, I don't think the whole reasoning is just based on his performance.
Okay.
I think there's other factions in there. One of them is killing the confidence of the kid, maybe, but they're using him for marketing stuff. They're like, Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini come to the games. That, I know it's a money thing and whatever, but it is a part of the equation. So I think it would take a lot for them to have to send him down to the AHL level, and I think that's one of the reasons. Not the reason, but one of the reasons.
My question is, do they need to say Will Smith and Macklin, or can they just say Macklin and get the same draw?
It doesn't matter. Like, the big posters outside.
I was gonna say, they've already got the posters.
Like, there's a big giant poster of Will Smith outside the arena.
Yeah.
There's it's not just like them using his name. It's like everything is out there.
And I got a little flack, I think, saying if his name wasn't Will Smith, right? As if he was like some royalty kind of name. Look, his
like
dad's
Collin Graf,
not the
right?
owner of the team. That's not what I meant, right?
It was Collin Graf and not Will Smith.
If it was Daniel Gushin and he came in and he was playing the way that Will Smith was playing, I think Daniel Gushin would be getting pushed down. That was my whole thing. So I was thinking, yes, there's probably some sort of third external.
I mean,
and it's got to be that
if they
send
send him,
stuff.
if they do send him to the AHL and they bring up somebody or whatever, they replace him. How much better are the Sharks going to be?
Doesn't matter. It's not.
But
Again,
that's my
it's
point.
not about the Sharks. It's about the player.
I agree,
Yeah.
but this season is almost like a development year for everybody on the team. Like Celebrini, Will Smith, a bunch of guys coming up. I'm not saying, because this season, I'm not saying it's completely lost, but they weren't expecting to go to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
If this team was going to the playoffs, he would have been sent down. Because they're not going to the playoffs, it is a great learning experience for him to be around everything. I think it also takes a little pressure off of Celebrini for being the only rookie on the team. Like, true top-end, high-talent rookie. Now you have two of them. They're going through it all together. It's also beneficial to both Will Smith and Celebrini to be going through this together.
I agree that they are buddies. I should have gave you the picture. It just hit me. I should have gave you the picture.
Could beat off walls.
So at both my kids had games today. Went to Sharks Ice, the Logitech Ice, whatever it used to be. It's called now. Solar for America, actually. And they were there playing the two teams, Joe Thornton's kids and some other kids' team, whatever, were playing each other. And there's Macklin and Will Smith sitting up in the stands watching. And all the kids from all the youth teams were like, "Oh my God, Macklin's here!" I felt so bad for Will Smith because everybody cared that Macklin was there and nobody cared that Will was there. And I did genuinely feel bad for the guy because it's like, no, he's a very good hockey player too. He's just not Macklin. That's all it is. But they were sitting there together watching Joe Thornton's kid play. It's pretty cool. So yeah, they all went over there. My son grabs my phone. "Can I get a picture with him?" I'm like, he wants to be left alone, please. But he kept pestering me. I said, fine. So he went over there and he asked. And to their credit, both of them extremely kind human beings. That will wear off sooner or later because they're just going to get pestered everywhere they go. But yes, he got a picture and I should have gave it to you. So anyway, yeah, I know. It's what it is. Anyway, I will say that I on some of those points I would agree. On most of them I agree to disagree, but that's okay. I'm just hoping for the best for the players, and we have different ideas on what that is. That's fine. Anyway, we will move on from that topic. Now, what else did you want to hone in on here?
Nothing. Let's go to the Calder Watch.
Yes, Calder Watch.
Nope. All right, we have a new leader on top of the leaderboard this week. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But it's, we'll go on the first one here.
He looks goofy.
Does he?
I'm sorry.
Defense boy. He kind of looks like a young Ovechkin.
A little bit.
Does he?
A little bit.
With really big ears. All right.
Read it.
Lane Hudson, defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. I got a lot of flack last week posting about Celebrini winning the Calder, or should be winning the Calder, from a lot of Montreal fans. So, yes, he is now leading the race here. He's got, 32 points in 42 games. That gives him a .76 points per game, and that's what I'm looking at. He kind of went off in the last week, and I also have him in one of my fantasy teams, so I'm very happy that I picked him up. This guy, 20 years old, 5'9", 162 pounds. He was a second-round draft pick by Montreal, and I just saw, who was it? Someone had just said on here, do you think Greer missed on the draft in this? So I went to go back and look at the 2022 draft.
Yeah.
Montreal selected him towards the end of the second round, the 62nd overall. Sharks had 2 picks before that in the second round. One of them, Cameron Lund, forward.
Yeah.
Still hasn't played any NHL minutes, whatever.
Yep.
Matthias Havelid.
Yeah.
A defenseman. That will be the one to watch.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the better, Havelid or Hudson? Because they could have gotten Hudson at that point.
Right.
So I'm sure it was because he was undersized. I mean, Havelid is too. I don't think Havelid is a big dude, if I remember correctly. I'm going to pull up his profile real quick. Okay. But it'll be fun to see a comparison of these guys in a couple years, assuming Havelid does make the Sharks at some point in his career. Yeah, he's a 5'10", 176, so almost very similar to Lane Hudson. Same size, different skill set. Although Havelid is an offensive-minded defenseman. So, yeah, that'll be cool to see, to keep an eye on. So, he is now leading. Do I think he will be at the end of the season? I'm still going to say no.
Okay.
Because in second place, we have, out of Philadelphia, Matvei Michkov. I love saying that. 41 games. He's got 13 goals, 17 assists for 30 points, and a -12. That's glorious. He's at a .73 points per game, so he's actually a little bit less now than Hudson. But he is still doing Michkov things, and it's fun to see. Now, someone did say Michkov versus Smith is the better comparison than Michkov versus Celebrini, because we could have drafted Michkov, but we went with Smith. Someone else corrected them in the comments that Michkov actually kind of had some say of who he was going to play for. And there were some teams he said he does not want to play for them, and apparently San Jose was one of them.
Okay.
So had the Sharks drafted him at 4th overall, it probably would have been a situation where he's like, I'm not leaving the KHL. 2 years earlier than he said he would. And he would maybe not even sign his entry-level contract and wait it out. Then the Sharks are in a situation where they lose him and he goes back or whatever. So, or they would have to trade him. They could have forced a trade, like, send me to this team because I wanted to play for that team.
Yeah.
So, I can't blame Greer for not drafting this guy as much as a lot of people like to do that, because that's probably what happened.
Yeah. I think that's something that people don't think about too much, and myself included. Like, if the player is going to say, I don't want to play for you, like, first of all, who are you, kid, right? But he's Matvei Michkov, apparently. So, if the Sharks weren't ever going to be able to actually play the kid, then what's the point in drafting the kid, right?
Yep.
So, I get it. And you're right. There's always going to be comparisons to Will Smith, and totally understand that. I think once Will Smith becomes the player that he absolutely can, and I'm sure will be, I think the Sharks, like you said, are going to be good down the middle, 1-2, and I think I'd rather have 2 really good centermen than 1 really good winger, although, I mean, it depends how good he becomes, right? An Alexander Ovechkin type player, as his career goes on, it's hard to say that you would rather have somebody else over him, but is what it is. So, like I said, I'm sure Will Smith down the road is going to be exactly what the Sharks need. Again, if he wasn't going to play for us anyway, then it doesn't matter. So,
yep. All right, and rounding out 3rd place here is our homeboy, Macklin Celebrini. 33 games played, 13 goals, 16 assists for 29 points and a -13. But his points per game has dropped a little bit, but he's still at a .88. I expect him to still continue doing what he's doing. Assuming he doesn't get injured, or any of these guys get injured, I think Celebrini will still come out on top. And he's going to get his points. In the nights that he's not getting points, he's still working his tail off, and he's winning face-offs, he's winning puck battles, he's doing things to help his team possibly win. Not that they're winning, but possibly win.
I hope that the voting takes into account more than just points. I hope they take into account the full breadth of playing in the NHL at a very young age, right? Some of these guys are a little bit older, obviously. For an 18-year-old to do what he's doing, I'm not saying that should be the tiebreaker, but when you're looking at, like you said, face-offs, right? If he's close to 50% face-offs, that's pretty much unheard of when you take a look at historically when they were tracking the stat. At least he's ahead of everybody.
It's great. An 18-year-old coming in and winning face-offs like that.
So, I hope that it's more than just them looking at the point totals and going, that guy, right?
Nah, I don't think that's it. I think it's... In fact, I'm not even sure what the criteria is, if it's actually voted on by media, if it's voted on by coaches or players or whatever. I'll have to look it up. Anyway, that is our Calder Watch. So, interesting to see. So, we do have upcoming games this week.
Yes.
For us, Paul's going to be in Boston next weekend. I'm going to be up in the snow in Tahoe area for next weekend, because next weekend is Martin Luther King weekend, so it is a 3-day weekend, and we have children that either have sports or needs to go in the snow. So we are going to be gone. So our normal
children have needs.
Yes.
To go in the snow.
Right, yes.
Anyway.
So our show next week, I believe we're going to be doing Tuesday night. So there's going to be 5 games to cover. Super producer Jason's going to be very angry and ring that bell a lot next week. So
Well,
Tuesday,
Shang, if I knew that answer, then I wouldn't have. We would have started off better.
on the road. Tuesday, Sharks are playing in Detroit. Then they go Thursday to Columbus. Saturday, the Islanders. Monday, Boston. Tuesday, Nashville. That is a lot of hockey.
A lot of travel.
A lot.
Yeah.
So, Detroit Red Wings. Do you think Wallman's going to be playing?
I hope he has a hell of a game.
Do you think Wallman's going to pull out the gritty if he scores?
I hope so. But it's got to be that game winner, right? It's got to be the OT or whatever.
Does it, though?
What, you just think randomly if he scores a goal, he's doing it?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Only because it's his old team. And they
I get that.
They traded him for a bag of pucks. They said, Sharks, take him and a second-round pick. Give us future consideration,
so
a.k.a.
goofy.
a bag of pucks.
And a second-round pick.
Right.
It's so goofy.
Yes.
Mike Greer.
It's dirty. It's great. I'm glad that was the Sharks making that trade.
So, yes, I hope absolutely that Wallman has one hell of a game against Detroit. Not for the Sharks to get a wins or whatever the case is. I just hope that Wallman shows up. It's nothing better than beating your old team.
Yes.
Right? So, I hope he gets what he's looking for on that one there. So, next one here is Columbus, right?
Columbus.
Okay, talk to me about Columbus. How are they doing this season? Is this a game that the Sharks should have a lead in the third period and then lose? What?
Columbus is 4th in their division.
Okay.
So they're hanging on to that. They're close. They're that bubble team.
Okay.
Right. They're okay. They're not bad.
They're the bubble team we should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their goal differential is a -2, whereas the Sharks are
minus 40 some
44. 44. So I mean these are games that I want to say I don't like to say the Sharks are going to win. I will say they are winnable.
Yes.
These are games that are winnable. Detroit, Columbus, I think winnable. The Islanders 50-50 to me.
I'm going to be honest with you. The Sharks beat the Lightning. The Sharks beat the Devils. I don't think there's a game that's not winnable for the Sharks. They're not going to win them, but they're not winnable. I think every game is winnable for this group.
I will go out and say I don't think they'll go 0-5 in these games.
Oh, okay.
I'd say 2-3.
Is the above 500 hockey still alive for you then?
For this week?
Yeah, for this week.
I just said they go 2-3, so no.
Oh, you said 2 and 3. Okay.
Yeah.
It could be
3 and 2.
Maybe 3 and 2, or maybe OT losses, right? Come on.
Points.
Give me the points.
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
I want to see him get some points here.
Some points.
Some
All right.
points would be great.
Boston. So like I said, I'm going to be in Boston. Unfortunately, we're flying back pretty much when this game, exactly when this game would end. So
Change your flight.
Can't make it.
Change your flight.
Got beat off walls.
Poor planning, my friend.
Oh, fantastic.
When we were looking at our schedule of doing the show, Paul's like, oh yeah, we got this trip. This trip's in Boston. I'm like, oh cool, are you going to go catch a Bruins game? No. Well, let me see who they're playing. They're playing the Sharks, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad.
That's the first thing I would have looked at.
It's a long flight back, man. It really is.
I would have left on...
Oh, I can't lie, it was, a lot last, month, and...
It's even Jason just hitting. It's even an early game. It's a 1 p.m. start in Boston time. Like, you could go to the game and make your flight get on a flight that leaves at 7 p.m. Done.
And get back way, way late. That's okay. Tuesday in Nashville.
Yes.
Nashville Predators.
Well,
they rebounded at all now.
No.
No. Okay.
In fact, I can't even say they regressed. They've stayed where they are. They are right above the Sharks in the standings. If you think the Sharks are having a disastrous season, Nashville, let me introduce you to Nashville. Yeah. Nashville said, hold my beer. They have 1 more point in the standings than the Sharks. 1. Do you know what that payroll is like? You know what that team is like?
Yeah?
Got beat off walls.
I thought you were going to play absolutely freaking embarrassing.
13 wins, 22 losses, 7 whatever ties, overtime thingies. They only have 11 regulation wins. The Sharks have 9. Like, they're right there with the Sharks. Right there. You guys are just giggle fits right now.
I'm dying right now, dude.
Just Nashville.
I mean, just absolutely freaking
there you
embarrassing.
go. There it is.
As bad as Buffalo is, they're doing better than Nashville.
Okay.
The Buffalo Sabres, everyone is dumping on because they haven't made playoffs in freaking 20 years or something.
Yeah.
They're still doing better than Nashville. That's how bad Nashville is.
Yeah.
I would hate to be a Nashville Predators fan. I would be so pissed because going into this season, they got Stamkos, they got Marchessault, and they got somebody else. And that was like they won free agency. Everyone's like, "Oh, this team's gonna be a cup contender." And like so they're probably selling season tickets like crazy. Like this is our year, and nothing.
Certainly glad to steal Askarov That's a good one for us. I'm happy with that.
Yes.
I don't really care how bad Nashville's season's going. Are you thinking that they're gonna take this win then?
In Nashville?
Yeah.
I certainly think they could.
Okay.
But it is a back-to-back for the Sharks.
Yeah.
They're playing in Boston and flying out to Nashville, then they're playing the next
Yeah.
day. So it's a tougher situation for them, but I do think it is doable.
I like Colin's comment here. Will Smith can't be scratched for that Boston game. That I would 100% agree with. There's a little bit of pride for him in that game, right?
There's probably a ton of friends and
yeah.
family and stuff there.
So let's see. Detroit, Columbus, New York. There's 3 games prior to where he can get a development day, take a break. And I think it would be great for him to take a break. Definitely, I would have him in for that Boston game, though. Because, again, if there's a little something else on the line, you might get a little extra juice out of the kid. And maybe that's what's going to help him kind of snap out of it a little bit. You guys already know what I think he needs, but that would be great for him to play against a Boston team that I'm sure he's watched 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So.
Preds also got Brady Skjei, S-K-J-E-I.
Shea. Brady Shea?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Sketchy.
Let's do that hockey.
Let's do that hockey.
That's
There
what
you go. Yeah.
I'm not even going to attempt that. Yeah, this is going to be... What do you think they're going to do?
I think they take the Nashville game.
Okay.
I would love to see them break this 3-game losing streak against Detroit, and I think Wallman's going to have a monster game. I could be wrong, but I think that's how that one's going to go. I think the bookends are wins for this road trip. Anywhere in between we pick up another point, I'd be more than happy because it supports my completely unrealistic theory that the Sharks will be playing 500 hockey or better from now until the trade deadline.
Oh, man.
I don't actually think it's going to happen, but I'm so hopeful. Very hopeful.
I'm interested to see what they do with the goalies here, too. Like, Askarov played the last game against Minnesota. So, are you going to go to Georgiev for Detroit? Do you play Askarov in Nashville? I would think you would. It's a back-to-back. I
Yeah.
think they would plan that out so that he's going to have a revenge game against Nashville
Yeah.
and shut them out.
That would be... I like that more than Will Smith in Boston.
That's 2 revenge games. Wallman
Yeah.
in Detroit, Askarov in Nashville. 2 teams that did not want those guys,
I
basically.
really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
It's the revenge tour. This is great. It's pinning out to be a great week to watch Sharks hockey.
Well, there you have it, guys. So, again, 5 games loaded with hockey for this week. Again, our next show will be after that Nashville game on Tuesday. So, if you are not subscribed, you wouldn't know that because you wouldn't get the notification. So, again, we only do this once a week. We're not going to hit you like with notifications every single day. So, again, if you guys haven't subscribed, and I'm sure like 90% of you, because like every single channel they say, oh, 90% of you guys haven't, so I'm sure it's the same for us. If you've not subscribed, great idea to do that because, again, you will know when we go live, can participate in the chat. And by the way, if you have not reached out to your Sharks friends and family to get them into the chat, it's too late. Okay? It's too late. You missed
Beat
out.
off walls.
See? They could have experienced that stuff all day long.
Oh, man.
Anyway, yes, so absolutely love having you guys in the chat. Get more people in here. And the best way to do that is to reach out to them. And if you are not subscribed, that is the best way to know when we are going live. Make sure you hit that bell. Also, we've got 3 likes on the video right now. I'd love to see that jump up a little bit more. Please, if you guys have enjoyed the video, hit those thumbs up button. If anything, if you guys appreciate Super Producer Jason and all the hard work he's doing behind the scenes, give him that like button. The more thumbs up, the more smiles he has. Is that right? Yeah, there you go. He's nodding. Yes. Oh, look, it's raining. It's fantastic. Aaron, anything else to add? Any comments that you want to call out maybe in the chat there?
No, just Grand Eyes was saying I don't want to hear about freaking Fragile.
Fantastic.
I don't want to hear about freaking
Yeah,
fragile,
there
okay?
you go. Yeah, asking you shall receive. Crichton, again, thank you so much for being a member, the newest member.
They also said Fin Factor group photo before the end of the season at some game. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that'd
can
be
do that.
cool.
Yeah,
I'd love
we'll
to do
figure
that.
out. I'm going to be hitting the road. I am going to the Seattle game at the end of the month, and I'm going to the Avalanche game in the beginning of March. So I'll be on the road, but I'm sure I'll hit up some home games as well in between now and the end of the season. So yeah, we should do that.
If you want to do that photo and you anticipate meeting up with us after a game at some point, it would be a great idea for you guys to look the part. Go to thefinfactor.com. Check out any of the merch that we have there. Get the hats, get the shirts. When we do that photo, it'd be awesome to have a bunch of people in some Fin Factor merch.
Crichton is going to get a discount because they are a member.
Nice.
a YouTube member.
Okay, so Crichton, check out the store. We've got lots of stuff in there, lots of goodies. So, Aaron, last chance. Anything else?
No.
You're good?
Let's do it.
Okay. Guys, for super producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
Got beat off walls.
And we got beat off walls. And we will see you guys
Tuesday of next week.
Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube. Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive